Hey everyone, this is Christian Heimel, host of Press Row. Thanks so much for listening to the following broadcast, courtesy of Public House Media.
I'm the Greg.
And I am Dave Show.
We host the Greg and Dave Show on Public House Media.
Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out our show, The Greg and Dave Show, where we talk about strange, bizarre, and sometimes just downright quirky news stories that you may not have heard about.
A new show comes out every Wednesday. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes. And hey, thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
In 2014, Germany shocked the world by putting together one of the most talented and most dominant rosters in soccer history.
Götze! It's Mario Götze!
Argentina, they were so close, yet couldn't put it together when it most mattered. Now you've got an Argentina team that's hungry for revenge.
Messi! And Yeva couldn't stop it!
But what about England?
Pass to Rooney. Sturridge in the middle, there he is, goal!
Or France?
And Sissoko! They're running riot!
Or Spain?
It's broken for Fabregas, now it's Iniesta! This is it! That's the goal!
All 32 teams in this tournament are vying for the opportunity to hoist the World Cup trophy.
Still Gervinho! Oh, he's done it!
If you want to be a part of the action at Russia 2018, you're going to need your soccer passport, the World Cup edition. At Public House Media, we are excited to launch a new soccer podcast called Your Soccer Passport World Cup Edition. Come alongside hosts and fans and guests from around the world as we bring you all the action from the 2018 FIFA World Cup. Because who knows, anything can happen in the FIFA World Cup.
What about that? It's John Brooks!
So come on, grab your soccer passport and join us for all the action from Russia 2018.
A sensational volley!
Welcome to Your Soccer Passport, presented by Public House Media. Today you have Marc Serber alongside Luis Burranca. And Luis, today we are going to go over Group B. And this really seems like a two-horse race. We have Spain, Iran, Morocco, and Portugal. And Luis, first thing I got to ask you is there any chance that Morocco and Iran make it through at the expense of either Spain or Portugal to the knockout rounds?
In my opinion, hi everyone, hi Mark, and once again, totally blessed to be here. But let's talk about that question about Morocco, definitely, because that's for me that's the team that has more chances, obviously, after Spain and Portugal. Fact is, over the last years, the last 3-4 years, in my opinion, Morocco has been building this generation of people that are playing in the most competitive leagues in Europe, most of all. Not just Mehdi Benatia, who is their big star, definitely, and captain, but this young talent like Achraf Hakimi, who is on Real Madrid, and he's earning a spot slowly, but he's earning that spot that he deserves. And he has it already in his national team. So we're watching a great player under construction.
When you talk about Morocco and Benatia being their leader, I mean, this is a group who got to the World Cup by scoring 11 goals in qualifying, conceding just one. And that was a group where they weren't expected to go through because they also had to deal with the Ivory Coast. And yet they're the ones that go through, are in this World Cup. And the thing that impresses me, Luis, about Morocco is not only they have Benatia and a strong side at the back, but they're also creative in midfield, and they're adept at using many different formations. And they've also shown in the qualifiers and their friendlies coming into this tournament that they can play at various paces and tempos, and they can adjust their line of confrontation based on who they're playing and press on different parts of the field.
Yeah.
How important is that going to be against a team like Portugal or Spain instead of them just sitting back and trying to hit on the break?
Well, let's see. In the last few matches, I saw this guy, number 10, Belhanda. Belhanda, right? That's his name. I saw that this guy, impressing me right now. He has for me that thing that makes me want to see more creative matches, because that's the old style of soccer right now. Because a professor told me a few years ago that position of the creative player, the number 10 player, the typical number 10 player, is dying. It's not the modern soccer that we live today, so intense and less romantic. Morocco plays in that romantic way. They don't pass the ball very often. They play by their own. They want to make a name for themselves. And I see some few players that are building at this this spine, that skeleton. I just talked to you a few days ago that you need a great goalkeeper, a great defense like Hakimi, or a great midfielder. They have a Benatia already. They need a very good offensive midfielder like Belanda, and obviously they need to create that number 9, that forward that they still don't have it already. Although last weekend I saw this match against in Estonia, and I saw this guy Belanda playing as a forward, more than a creative player. So it's not true the fact that romantic soccer, that the old style of soccer is dying.
Well,
lives that way.
It's certainly a lot of fun to watch. But then you look at a team like Iran. They have Carlos Queiroz, who's a great coach, of course, the assistant to Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United. He's done wonders with this national team. They've got 13 players that are playing their trade in Europe right now, and they pitched 9 consecutive shutouts in qualifying as well. And they also can press over the field, although everybody's expecting them to really sit back in a block. What do you expect from this Iran team? Are they going to be kind of the romantics like Morocco, or are they going to be that modern defensive team that relies on their defense and hopes to hit on the break?
Well, I'm going to say something silly right now, but in my opinion, Iran is like the Bruce Banner of this group. Well, I want to believe that they are the Bruce Banner of this team, because it happened in 1998 in France. Nobody bet $1 for them, and they made a great match against Brazil. They made a totally great match against Brazil, who ended up also for the runner-up. So, in my opinion, I have a great reference about Iran. No, not too many people are putting their money on it, but they can explode in every single minute. We saw it 4 years ago against Argentina, and they still have that same base that they had 4 years ago. Let's check out the names: Halal Hosseini, Teimurian, or even the captain Nekonam is not already in for this tournament. Already he just retired, but they have this great team, great base for the World Cup, in my opinion. And there's one name that for me is impressing me a lot, who is playing in the Russian league. He was a big headache for many teams. His name is Milad Mohammadi. I saw this guy doing his stuff, playing very well, and he's a very great. He's a great defensive player. He knows how to recover the ball so fast. He has this speed that all the left back players need.
And talking about Iranian players who play in Russia, on the attacking end, you also have Sardar Azmoun, a 23-year-old plays for Rubin Kazan, and he's been sensational in the Russian Premier League. How important is he to Iran's hopes?
Well, I saw also this guy Azmoun, and let's check out facts. This guy is a very great forward, and well, he's a promise right now. He's a very young player, 23 years old. In my opinion, is still a young age, and he has an entire career after him. In front of him, he has an enormous career. So Russia, in this case, is becoming the main market for Iranian players. I have the chance to watch more Russian Premier League because of our fan. He plays in Lokomotiv Moscow, so I had the chance to watch many young players, like I told you before, like Mohammadi and now Azmoun, young players, new talent, new blood, and let's check out what they can do, because in the qualifiers they did it amazing. They did an amazing job, and he's sometimes. I don't know where did I heard this from, but this guy Azmoun has he has qualities that not just a regular forward player has, but he can also associate very well with the midfielders, obviously the defensive midfielders, and play also that typical number 10 also. He's not just a forward. He also can be a number 10. He also can be a one more midfielder, offensive midfielder, obviously. But this classic number 10 I was telling you about before.
All right, so you've got Iran and Morocco meeting in the first day, and you also have, obviously, Spain taking on Portugal. If one of those teams comes out a winner, then Iran and Morocco, if they get 3 points in their opening match, they have a chance to go into match day 2 ahead of either Portugal or Spain in the standings. Who do you have winning this game between Iran and Morocco to kick off the World Cup in Group B?
Well, I'm putting my money on people that are playing on the big teams like Real Madrid, Juventus. You know what I'm talking about. Obviously Morocco, and they have a great defensive style of play, so they will know how to stop people like I told you, Azmoun, this young player, this young forward. But he's gonna have a personal battle with Hakimi. Hakimi, let's remind he's a defender. He's a left back. So he's gonna have a personal battle with him. But I think my money is gonna be on the big teams, on the players that are on the big teams like Real Madrid or even Juventus, and it's gonna be on a team that is still building their big generation. For me, this is not the best that Morocco is gonna offer, but in the future, obviously, I think they're gonna have a bigger team that they are having right now. This qualification for Morocco, it's just the first step. It's just the first step. But definitely I'm going to put my money on them.
Marc Serber alongside Luis Burranca on Your Soccer Passport, presented by Public House Media. Thanks so much for joining us for our Group B preview as we now get to the big guns, Luis, the teams that are expected to finish 1 and 2. And Spain not only expected to cruise in this group, but also one of the teams that many are considering within the top 3 to 5 teams that could go on and win this World Cup. In fact, they have not lost since Julian Lopetegui took over. What has he done to revitalize this Spain squad?
Well, first of all, Julian Lopetegui is a mind freak, in my opinion. Mind freak and a crazy guy just by saying to put Alvaro Morata in the bench. No, outside the World Cup. He's not go. That's the biggest absence in my opinion, of the World Cup. He's a great forward, plays in Chelsea, he rather choose this guy Rodrigo. As far as I remember, he's taking Rodrigo instead of Alvaro Morata. He's taking some other players like Iago Aspas, or obviously Diego Costa, who's taking the main lineup over the last days. He's on the main lineup in every single match. He's betting for him once again, and we're watching this Spain that in my opinion is resurrecting from their ashes of last World Cup in 2014, where they made a hell of a deception in Brazil.
Yeah, this is a team that is really starting to get back to its former glory. But, you talked about the absence of Morata. Let's talk about the strikers. You have, as you said, Iago Aspas, Diego Costa, and Rodrigo. And Diego Costa didn't have the best season with Atletico Madrid, and he's much more of a poacher in the box who will get on the end of things. Iago Aspas, I feel like he fits in with this team a lot better because he's good in transition and the flow of the game, and is able to kind of play as that false nine that Spain often like to need. Which of these three forwards do you see getting the call for Lopetegui going into Game 1 against Portugal?
Well, obviously in the main lineup right now is Diego Costa because of the name and the career that he has. And let me tell you a funny story. Last year, let's remember Diego Costa was in Chelsea under the orders of Antonio Conte. Conte decides to take off Diego Costa out of the team. He sends him back to Atletico de Madrid, and he bets on Alvaro Morata. And right now, Alvaro Morata hasn't been playing all the matches with Chelsea. He wasn't that. He wasn't the man for Conte like last year when he decided to bet on him. It's a crazy story because they don't. We cannot understand how Conte makes those decisions. Costa in this case has been the ironical winner because he's taking a place that, in my opinion, he needs to have, but he took it off for so many players. Well, definitely he deserves it. But in this case, I still bet for Alvaro Morata, at least as for the bench. Well, right now Spain's bench, in my opinion, is the best of the World Cup right now.
And Spain is going up against the two lesser lights, as many would think, in Iran, who, as we alluded to, just had 9 consecutive shutouts in qualifying. And then you have Morocco, who gave up just 1 goal in qualifying themselves. And Spain no longer has Xavi. The heir apparent to him is Koke. And I was wondering, Luis, how do you feel that he'll do unlocking the likes of Iran and Morocco, who are most likely going to sit back? And Koke is Spain's traditional deep-lying playmaker. How do you think he'll do breaking down these squads?
Well, actually, right now, in my opinion, Koke is not in the main lineup. For me, in my opinion, if I was Lopetegui, I wouldn't start a match with Koke right now. Neither Koke or people like Saul. I'm not being anti-Atletico de Madrid guy right now.
Are you sure about that?
No, yeah, I'm very, very sure right now because Iniesta needs players that can rely on him and play side by side. In this case, Spain usually puts him alongside Sergio Busquets, or even up some few meters up. He goes with David Silva, people that he can understand with very well. Now they are betting on Isco. Diego Costa obviously already up, but I wouldn't rely right now for a main lineup, not for a match. Only for the main lineup, I wouldn't rely with people like Koke or Saul right now. Obviously, Koke has minutes, but I wouldn't take a chance to put him on the main lineup because he does not still understands with Iniesta very well. Obviously, Iniesta is the star of that team. It's gonna be his last World Cup, and he's gonna go out with a bang. So Iniesta has to do it same style as he does it on Barcelona, with players that he can understand with very well, and Koke does not belong to that lineup that he can complement with.
And of course, Spain's first opponents are Portugal, and much has been made about the center backs. You have Pepe at 35, Bruno Alves at 36, and Jose Fonte at 34. How will they handle playing against teams that will try and play up-tempo games or open games against them? I mean, this is obviously very good, solid center backs, but also much older and really can't play a high line. How do you think this will affect Portugal going forward in this World Cup?
Well, in my opinion, Spain has all the fresh things to surpass the Portuguese defense. You said it right now. They are over 30 years old, each and every single one of them, and Portugal is going to rely on their left and right backs like Rafael Guerreiro or Cedric right now, and those guys are younger than people like Jose Fonte, like Pepe or Bruno Alves, which are obviously on their last hurrah right now. So it's gonna be for me, that match between Spain and Europe is gonna be very played over sides, over the left side or even the right side. So we must watch carefully that collide between those two sides.
And a player who can really make a difference along the wing is Ricardo Quaresma. Often comes off the bench for head coach Santos, but is 2 times as many assists as any other Portugal player over the past 4 years. How important is he going to be in terms of feeding the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo?
Well, let's check out Portugal's story a little more deeper than we are right now checking out. Portugal over the years has been creating this generation that could be the best. Let's remind the biggest absence in Portugal right now, who's Nani. Nani was in this case the perfect guy that Cristiano Ronaldo could complement with, even in Manchester United or even the Portugal national team. But over the years, he wasn't putting on his head into the match. He was I'm not calling him mediocre right now. I'm not saying that. But many Portuguese players like Ricardo Quaresma, as you said it, or even Adrian Silva right now have been players that have been exploding very, very old, and it's a very unfair thing for him, for those kind of players. They explode very old, 29 years old, or even Ricardo Quaresma at 34. Portugal has this big deception. The only guy that had an amazing career and exploded even when he was the youngest of the players was Cristiano Ronaldo. He at 33, he's still with that same fire that he had 14 years ago, and nobody of those players that we're watching right now. I can make some exceptions, but the big defects on Portugal are that many of their players have been exploded very, very old, except of the likes of Pepe or sometimes like Rafael. Well, Rafael Guerrero is still young; he's 24, and or Jose Fonte, who's making great matches right now, but he's 34. So we can call this Portugal biggest defect.
Are Portugal too over-reliant on Cristiano Ronaldo? And if he does not end up scoring, where are the goals going to come from?
Well, let's check out this guy, Andre Silva. He is the number 9 of AC Milan. So this, in my opinion, this young player has to be one hell of a revelation for the World Cup. He's still a young player. He's over 23, so he still can be called the soccer the reveal player of the year. So he still has this big size that many central forwards have. Well, he's not right now central forward because he plays alongside Cristiano Ronaldo. Only 2 forwards. But when you put it on a line of 3 up there, when he plays alone with not many companions, he does it very well. He makes the job done. Although many people have not betting their money on him. For me, in my opinion, Andrés Silva is the second player that can make the job done if they want to, obviously.
Portugal most likely will get through to the round of 16, where they're most likely going to run up against either France or Argentina. Can they get into the Final Four of this World Cup?
Imagine that, Portugal against Argentina. It's gonna be the match that Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi can collide, and all the world was expecting for. But let's check out reality right now. Obviously, Portugal can make it in the round of 16 when you have Morocco and Iran as rivals. But let's not get very confident because Iran has Carlos Queiroz. Carlos Queiroz knows Portugal, knows the style of playing. So I don't wanna put salt in Portugal's journey and over the World Cup, but I think they can do it very in a very turbulent way, a very bumpy ride journey, but they can make it. I want to watch this match against Argentina. For me, is the main match that can happen.
So we've gone through all 4 teams, Luis. You've made some excellent points, and so I think you're going to make some excellent predictions as well. First off, who wins the opening match between Portugal and Spain?
I'm gonna bet on the bench, Spain.
And so you think Spain goes on and gets all 9 points?
Yeah, no, I'm not saying Spain is gonna get 9 points. Also, and let's remember Spain made a hell of a deception 4 years ago, having also a great team. Fact is, some of these players are older than they did 4 years ago, and besides, Xavi Alonso were at their last World Cup. Also, David Villa, who was already a grown-up man for soccer. Let's check out that these young players that are coming to Russia are the same guys except of Isco or Marco Asensio, who are the new revelations of the World Cup. Although we know Isco very well since 7 years ago, definitely. Let's check out that Spain is coming with the same team, almost with the same team as 4 years ago, but older and more experienced.
And how important will these new younger players be for this Spanish revival?
Well, you're talking about Isco, you're talking about Marco Asensio, you're talking about also David De Gea, who's now having his chance at a World Cup. 4 years ago, he couldn't make it because that was Iker Casillas' place. I'm watching a great future for Spain right now. For me, it's one of my three candidates. Three, alongside Brazil and France. For me, one of those three can make it this year to become the World Cup champion.
And so you have Spain most likely topping the group, although you don't think that they're going to get 9 points. Do you see Portugal as finishing second, or do you think Morocco does what many are considering the impossible and taking that second spot?
As I said before, I don't want to put salt on Portugal's career, on Portugal's journey, but yeah, I'm watching Portugal as the runner-up in that Group B. I don't know if Morocco can make like I told you, this big explosion that they are building. Morocco can have that chance because they have great players also. They have Hakimi, who's at Real Madrid, and Hakimi knows the Spanish game. So he has that second eye. His mother language is Spanish, so it's not Arab or French. So he knows how to play this match against Spain. Most him that many people on the team right now. My money is on him, and I'm not just being I'm not being a Real Madrid fan right now. I'm just watching things clearly, and I think Hakim is gonna tell many of the players how are they gonna play because he knows them. He knows Isco. He knows Marco Asensio. He knows Sergio Ramos. He knows the 30% of the team.
So we'll go through team by team, and you tell me who the most important player, and you can only pick one, is going to be for each team in this group stage. Spain.
Iniesta. Andres Iniesta.
Portugal.
CR7.
CR7. You know, some of the tournaments he's finding the back of the net, and some tournaments he isn't. I agree with you. As long as he goes.
Doubting his name it's a lack of respect for him right now. He's the main star of Portugal.
No, absolutely. As long as he goes, Portugal goes. Morocco.
Mehdi Benatia.
And how about for Iran?
Well, if you want to talk about Iran, I'm gonna say this guy from Russia, Mohammadi.
Mohammadi, yes, definitely one to watch. And of course, as you said earlier, Carlos Queiroz, not only an excellent coach who's done wonders with Iran, getting them to back-to-back World Cups, but will certainly know Portugal very, very well. Luis, wonderful job as always. It's such a pleasure speaking with you. And thank you to everybody for listening here on Public House Media. We hope you continue to join us for the rest of our previews, which can be found on the Apple Podcast. But for now, for Luis Burranca, I'm Marc Serber saying that's all for Group B. We have it going Spain, Portugal, and then Morocco and Iran topping out Group B. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a wonderful afternoon, and enjoy the World Cup. After 4 long years, it's finally here.